Good morning. I'm starting out this show with an apology if I've been a little absent this week. I am hard at work doing research, which unfortunately is taking a lot more time than I expected, on a show that is going to air on Tuesday, which I think all of you will want to tune into because the show I'm doing is basically a public service announcement for all of you, as today's show is as well. But so I am still researching. I will be researching from now until probably Monday, till everything is settled and I have the answers I need to dot all my I's and cross all my T's like I like to do when I bring you this type of a show. Today's show comes from a viewer from Georgia, and really good person. I've spoken to this person over the phone many times, so I stand by this story 250,000%. And we're going to talk about customer service or lack thereof, better business. Is it a thing of the past? That's what this show is about today. And we're going to start with my viewer in Georgia, who many of you out there, I don't have experience with a septic system. Okay. Although at the Bay, we do have septic systems and sewage and stuff. But if all of you out there who have a septic system, you know that when it backs up, things get ugly real quick. And you need to call someone and get it fixed like now. And so my friend in Georgia, they had in their home, their septic system stopped working. And they had sewage backup, and they couldn't go to the bathroom. They couldn't flush their toilet. They couldn't use their sink or their dishwasher or take a shower. So they called a contractor. And the contractor came out and said, yep, we'll fix it. It's going to be $3,000. And so, of course, contractors always demand their money at the time the work is finished. They don't just leave and bill you later. You pay the day the work's done. So the work was done. It was working when they left. And my viewer paid $3,000. And 2 weeks and 2 days later, guess what happened? Septic system broke again. Sewage coming into their home. And when sewage comes into your home, I mean, we have had the city sewer back up on us here in this house, but we have a basement. And we had like water you could actually swim in our basement when the sewage system in the city backed up outside our house. And if that had been in our living room, things would have gotten ugly real quick in this house. A lot of things would have been destroyed. So you don't want to mess with this. So my viewer called the contractor back who had fixed the septic system and said, it's broken again. You didn't do it right. Oh, no, ma'am. Now, remember, 2 weeks later, this is 2 weeks, not 2 months, not 2 years, 2 weeks. And this contractor says, we'll come out, we'll check the problem, we'll fix whatever's wrong, but we're going to charge you a couple $1,000s more. And at that point, my viewer remembered her friend Political Paula. What would Political Paula do? WWPPD. New bracelets coming out. What would Political Paula do? And she said, you know what? No, I'm not going to pay you. You were just here. You didn't do it right. You need to make it right. And the guy refused to do it. Okay? So, of course, my viewer said, let me see what Political Paula would do. So she sent me a message. And I said, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to call the Better Business Bureau and report them. And then you're going to call a lawyer. So she did call the Better Business Bureau. And the Better Business Bureau ended up contacting the contractor. And what you're about to hear may surprise you or may not. But the good news is the Better Business Bureau said my viewer was correct. These people needed to make right what they did or didn't do. They need to fix her septic system or they need to refund her money and she'll get somebody else. But here's what the contractor responded to the Better Business Bureau. And I've dealt with the Better Business Bureau before. They're wonderful. I strongly advise you to contact them. And if it's in your state, most states have a Better Business Bureau department in your own state. So if you have a problem with a business, you need to call the Better Business Bureau that business is registered in. And you can find that out online very easily. I did it for the television company down at the Bay. I had to do the Better Business Bureau in New Jersey for them, and I won that as well. So the contractor in this situation told the Better Business Bureau, well, I'll refund the money, but I want an apology because they were rude to us. What? Wait, what? Did you just hear what I just said? The contractor's feelings were hurt because my viewer was a little annoyed that she had raw sewage coming up through her drain system, possibly ruining her hardwood floors. And this contractor's saying, I'm not refunding your money, I'll come back and fix it, but I'm going to charge you extra. And his feelings were hurt. And he's saying to the Better Business Bureau that I'll refund the money, but they were very rude. And I want, my feelings were hurt. Guess what, Mr. Business Owner? Guess what the first rule of being in business and customer service is? What is the first rule? Can anybody say it with me? The customer is always right. The customer is always right. When you're in business for yourself, my husband used to have a sticky sheet on his computer to remind him every day, be nice to them, they feed you. So Mr. Septic tank contractor whose feelings were hurt because your customer was pissed off that she gave you $3,000 of her hard-earned dollars and you didn't do the job, and now she got raw sewage in her house, that she's a little upset about that. You're going to hold her money hostage till you get an apology or whatever you want. You don't deserve an apology. You know what you need to remember is people like my viewer, they put food in your children's bellies. They put a roof over your child's head. They put clothes on your child's back. And if you're a wealthy contractor that makes good money, they pay for your wife's ladies' lunches and manis and petties and the swimming pool in your backyard and the maintenance that it costs to keep it up. Remember who exactly we as customers are. We don't work for you. You work for us. We pay for your lifestyle. Without us, you don't have a roof over your head. You don't have a toilet that flushes. You don't have food on your table. So if we're a little pissed off because we pay you in good faith for a job and you don't do it right, I think we're allowed to be a little annoyed with you. We're allowed to yell a little bit. We're allowed to be upset when we can't flush our toilet or wash our dishes or take a shower before we go to our jobs every day. Okay, we shouldn't have to contact a government office to report you for bad customer service, for bad business. That's what being in business is about, folks. I know a lot of you think I beat this to a dead horse, but it is true. The television company at the Bay, where I have my summer trailer, the first year we had them, I sent them to the Better Business Bureau in New Jersey. You know why? Because they advertised themselves as a cable company. And when I actually paid them, first of all, you had to pay them for the entire season, $200 some back then. It goes up every year, and yet we have less channels. The first year we had HBO and Showtime and a lot of stuff, but we couldn't watch it if it rained. And come to find, it wasn't cable. It looked like cable. It's hooked up like cable. But what we ended up getting was a third-party seller of DirecTV and Dish Network. And remember the commercials. Dish cable and get Dish. Dish Network and DirecTV are not cable. And when our TV goes out at Buttonwood, we can't call Dish Network. We can't call DirecTV, because we're not their customers. We are the customers of what was then called, when I reported them, Travelers Cable. That's what they were called. Now, if you're paying a bill to someone who calls themselves Travelers Cable, wouldn't you think it's a cable company, right? Like Comcast, which we have at home. Well, no. It's a third-party seller of DirecTV and Dish Network channels. To make matters even more confusing, some channels are from DirecTV and some channels are from Dish Network. And to make matters even triple worse is when you call them and tell them TV's out, they're like, yeah, we know. Yeah, that's the comment I got last summer. Yeah, we know. I said, my TV's frozen. What's going on? Yeah, we know. And I'm like, well, when is it going to be fixed? When we get to it. Wow. That's definitely not the customer's always right, and be nice to them, they feed you. And to add insult to injury, there have been times at the Bay where the TV is going out and they're like, well, we'll be there in 3 days. Oh, I can't watch TV for 3 days because you're in New Jersey, you have to come to Maryland. You're going to be there at your convenience, not my convenience, the customer who pays you and feeds your family. Well, are you going to credit my bill because I can't use the TV for 3 days? Oh, no, we don't do that. And people wonder why I freak out about this stuff. That is so annoying. I'm paying you in good faith, in advance, for a service that I'm supposed to be able to enjoy, not just when you feel like it, but 24/7. For the entire season that I'm down at my trailer. That's what I pay for. Okay? There are companies out there, like Comcast, by the way, that will credit your bill if it's out through their fault and they can't get to you and you can't use the service. They will credit you. But not this company. So I did send them to the Better Business Bureau. And what I got back, even though I was very rude to them, by the way, when I called, I said, I didn't pay for Dish Network. I didn't pay for DirecTV. I paid for a cable company. And in my complaint to the Better Business Bureau, I said they're false advertising themselves. I thought I was paying a cable company. Instead, I'm paying satellite. I didn't want satellite. So they gave me a $50 credit off my next year's bill, even though I was rude. I didn't have to apologize, and I wouldn't apologize. I was angry, as I should have been. I was fooled by false advertising, and I was not given what I paid for. That is when you have a right to complain, and you have a right to be angry when you get an answer like, yeah, we know, we'll get to it when we get to it. You know, we're all the way in New Jersey. Well, that isn't my problem. If you're in New Jersey and you're selling your business to customers in Maryland, you better be prepared to put some gas in your truck and get on down to Maryland when the product fails, right? Or just don't sell to people in Maryland if you don't want to drive from New Jersey to Maryland when you're needed. Okay? That's how I feel about that. So at the end of the day, the Better Business Bureau contacted me and said about the $50 discount. Oh, and by the way, guess what happened the next year? They're no longer Travelers Cable. They're now called Resorts Communication. Although sadly, when you call them and you get a message, they still say cable. Yeah, they still say cable on their message, which is unfortunate because, again, anybody out there who uses Resorts Communications, they're not a cable company. They never have been, and they never will be, and they don't want to be. Okay? And if your TV goes out, you better be prepared to wait because they're not going to be on it. They won't. So, as for my viewer in Georgia, I'm so glad you contacted me. Thank you very much for trusting me again with your story. And I do say good for you. The Better Business Bureau has gotten back to her. The contractor is going to have to refund the $3,000. And they're not getting an apology. They don't deserve one, in my opinion and in hers. And if the Better Business Bureau tells you you have to refund this money, you have to refund it, whether you get an apology or not. Now, there may be an update on this because, as far as I know, the contractor has until tomorrow, Friday, to refund the money, or else there will be further investigation into this. But the contractor is going to have to make this right. Now, a few months ago, I told a lot of you about the fact that we had to have our electrical here at our house upgraded, that there were some serious issues. And I complained a little bit when I found out that 3 months later, a city inspector was going to come to my house to make sure that the electrical company we chose did the work properly. And after speaking with the inspector and now hearing this story from my friend in Georgia, who does not have city inspectors because she doesn't live in the city, coming out to inspect contractors' work, I think I'm very grateful for our city inspectors here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, because what they do is, even though it did take them 3 months to get to us, and in that time the system could have failed, but at least when the inspector came out, he checked the work that we paid $6,000 for. It's a lot of money. And it was very uplifting to hear the inspector say, wow, this made my job easy. This Lowry Services, by the way, if you're in this area, I think they have operations all over the East Coast. Lowry Services, man. Lowry Services. The inspector said their work was pristine. Perfect. And then just this past week, the electric company came out. And I said, what are you doing here? You never inspected my outside box and told me there was water in it. I was sitting on a ticking time bomb for years and years. Well, we're here to inspect the connections that Lowry Services did. I'm like, oh, you mean back in September? That if they had done a bad job, I think I would have known it by now. But you know what? They came into the alley. They said, we might have to turn your power off if the connections aren't right. I'm like, are you kidding me? But calm. They went in. They checked the connections. They were out in 2 minutes. They said, pristine work. They did an awesome job. And by the way, the inspector and PP&L both told me that every time they inspect a job done by Lowry Services, there's never an issue. And that's good enough for me. So if you need electrical work done, I think they do HVAC. They do a lot of different things. They might even do plumbing. You call them up. Lowry Services. They are fantastic. Really good. And again, I've only heard good things about them. And if the city and PP&L signs off that says their work is pristine, then I'll go with that. So that was the best $6,000 we ever spent. And it's nice for a change to get what we paid for, to get what we were promised. And you know, we've got customer service going down the tubes all over our country right now. Okay? We've got, I had an experience with the person I buy my cigarettes from, the place I get my cigarettes. They sell stale cigarettes, and they know they're stale, but they sell them anyway. Simply because the brand I buy isn't that popular. And you know, how can you do that? How can you sell a bad product? If a grocery store sold sour milk to mothers with children, they get sued. And when my husband asked the distributor with the cigarettes, well, okay, you're going to order her fresh cigarettes, but if I buy this carton and they're stale, can you give me a discount? Oh, no, the government won't let me do that because it's tobacco. So the government says it's okay to sell stale cigarettes to tobacco users, but when you go to the grocery store, you see the big thing in the bakery department, day-old bread, it's discounted because it's a day old. Day-old donuts, discounted. If something is expired, they have to take it off the shelves. They can't sell it to you at any price. But if you're a tobacco user, well, who cares about the evil tobacco users, right? They're just going to get cancer and die anyway. So who cares if their product is not fresh? Who cares if their product tastes like crap and they don't enjoy their product? We're still going to get the money out of them because they have to have their cigarettes. They even said, well, if you don't want the Virginia Slims silver pack, well, here's a pack. Try this pack of Misties. They were stale too. And you know what is so sad for you tobacco users out there is many of you will buy a stale carton of cigarettes and you don't even know they're stale. But see, I do know. They say that smoking kills your taste buds. Not mine. I have very good palate. And if you blindfold me and you give me a fresh cigarette and a stale cigarette, I will pick it out every time. I've done it. I can tell you what the stale one is and what the fresh one is. I've done it. And it's not right. It's not right for any business to sell you a product and take your money and not give you pristine service. Like Lowry Services gave us pristine service, good service. They were here on time. They were here for the amount of time they told us it would take. And they made sure that while my husband was here, he had electricity through a generator so he could work while they were here because I wasn't here at the time. They did everything they said they were going to do, and they did it right. And that's what all businesses should be doing. But today, too many businesses don't give a shit. They forgot the golden rule of business, which is the customer is always right, and be nice to them. They feed you. Political Paula, out.